Estate Reality. This is Jason Chandler with Affinity Mortgage in Burleson. My beautiful host, Diana Roberts, is running a little behind, so she'll catch up with us here in a little bit. But I'm going to allow our guest speaker to introduce himself now.
I'm Trent Baker with Inspector Gadget Home Inspections, right here in Burleson, Texas, and been working on this for the last 12 years plus. So, thanks for having me.
Hey, welcome. We're happy to have you, Trent. So, did you move to Burleson about 12 years ago?
No, I've been in Texas. I wasn't born and raised here. I know that's a sin in itself, but I've been in Texas for the last about 26 years. So, love it, and this is where I love to call home. To be very honest with you.
And but as far as like down in Johnson County or
Oh
this
yeah, I've
area,
been in Johnson County for oh geez, uh, about 18 of those years.
is that
So yeah,
right?
yep.
Well, you're an official Texan now, so you've taken you live through one summer here and you don't leave, then you're definitely welcome. But uh, yeah, we're here today to talk. We've invited Trent on because we want to talk about the importance of home inspections and everything that goes into that. And Trent, I just kind of let you take it from there, and we'll just kind of chat back and forth. First of all, what do you do exactly? What is a home inspection? Some people go, "Oh, the appraisal." No, no, no. What is this inspection?
Yeah. So a home inspection really isn't about the value of the home or anything of that nature, or whether you like the home or anything of that nature. It's really the condition of the home. It's not a pass or a fail. We're not going to tell you, yes, you got to buy this house, or no, necessarily run away. It's more of everybody buys a house for different reasons, has different expectations, and it's our job to go in there, look at a house, give you the conditions of what's going on with the house the best we can, and let you make a good educated buying decision. And that sometimes entails, gee, it's not the right house. Sometimes that entails, man, this is perfect. This is exactly what we expected. And sometimes it's, we still really like this house, but it needs some work, and we're going to do something. We're going to ask the buyers, or I'm sorry, the sellers to, take care of some stuff, make some concessions, negotiate on what repairs may be needed, or what, items may need to be looked at further. But yeah, it's an overall condition of the home in a very simple, easiest way to answer that.
So after you've done an inspection, would you say that you meet with your clients either over the phone or in person a
Yeah.
lot to
Yeah,
go over it?
sure. We produce a multiple page report, 20, 30, 40 pages, depending upon what's the size of the home and everything we look at there. Not only tell you about the house, but take a lot of pictures of what's going on with the house, good and bad. It's not just, oh, hey, everything's, I'm not going to just tell you stuff that's falling apart. I'm going to tell you what's working right as well. Um, and then we definitely want to spend some time with the client, because I am producing, just we're looking at so much. We want to take some time and break that down for you, tell you why we're pointing certain things out. Sometimes it's just a code change issue, something that has, the codes have changed since the house was built. Certain things we point out may not even existed when the house was built, but I'm still required to tell you about them, and make some recommendations, and just again um, help you along in that process, so that you truly understand, um, what you're getting, and take, at least try and take some of that risk out of, the scare out of buying that new house.
So some of these things, like the code change, I think maybe one of the big ones might be hot water heater. If it was installed before most cities to have a code where there had to be
A pan underneath, and even how that pan drains, shut offs, for the electrical to it. There's literally got a dozen or better, 20 items on water heaters that have changed in the last 30
wow.
years. And so, yeah, literally, even on new construction, we go in, and one of my favorite lines with a client is like, "Hey, yours is installed right." Like I
Yeah.
don't get to say that a whole lot. So yeah, water heaters are a big one. Electrical stuff like AFCIs, GFCI outlets, things like that. That are good things to have. But if your house was built in 1975, they didn't exist, so
Hmm.
just I wouldn't expect to see them, but we do get to at least recommend them, for you. So just to help with safety of your family, that sort of thing.
Well, and you, of course, to be an official inspector in Texas, you have to be licensed with the state, correct?
Yes,
So,
yes.
so does that entail, I guess, continuing education to keep up with the new requirements that are coming out, or?
Yeah, so definitely with the state of Texas, you have to be licensed through the Texas Real Estate Commission. We are licensed in and um, well, general home inspections, but electrical, plumbing, um, roofs. I mean, we there's a lot we go through to get that. Um, there are continuing education requirements. Every 2 years, we have to renew our license and stay up to date on things. I've been privileged the last 2 years to be able to teach to other home inspectors through ATRI, Association of Texas Real Estate Inspectors, and has been honestly, I probably learned as much teaching them as they do learning from me.
Yeah.
Just from that sharing and growing and all of us trying to get better at our trades and constantly improving what we do.
Well, that's cool, and that's something I want to get out to the audience. There is, hey, yeah, I've as a lender, I've talked to clients, and they've been like, "Well, do I really need to get this inspection?" And I tell them, as a lender, unless it's a VA loan and there's a the wood destroying insect termite inspection, that's the only one we require. But then I tell them personal stories. Uh, but I've had uh, some of them say, "Well, my uncle's pretty good at this," or I just want people out there to understand that, yeah, this to be a licensed inspector, you have to keep up with the continuing education, the new codes that are brought forward, and Uncle Bob may not know all that if he's kind of retired, and
Correct.
I'm sure he knows how to build a house inside out, but he may not know all the codes and stuff that you got to look for, because someday you may want to sell that home, and then you're going to be
Correct.
sitting there going, "Oh, so now we're the ones that have to make all this right when we could ask the seller to do it."
Correct.
So yeah, no, that's good to know. And regarding that wood destroying, if you did see evidence of what could possibly be termites or something, what do you do at that point?
So, unless you're licensed to do that, that's not a license I've ever chose to get. Some home inspectors do.
Mm,
Um, is we have to very carefully point out that we're seeing some sort of evidence. There's certain words, and we're not allowed to use words like termite and things of that nature. But we can definitely point out that damage and recommend a insect inspection
okay.
to get that done. So, yeah, if we're seeing damage, we need to be pointing it out. Doesn't matter if it's water, insect, or anything else. It's a matter of getting it pointed out and helping them find the right people to remedy what might be the cause of that issue.
Well, I've seen some old houses, and you go to like the fuse box and all that, and there's wires sticking out, and you expect there to start being shorts happening. I mean, I'm sure you ran across on some older homes some of these. Is that where you go, "Hey, you need to get an electrician out here"?
Yeah, I actually have just one comment in my reports that I try not to use it very often, but there are definitely times where you go, given the number of issues, I
Yeah.
recommend an electrician to just go through this thing because it just gets occasionally it can get almost overwhelming how many issues there are in an old electrical panel, occasionally a new electrical panel, believe it or not. So yeah, uh, it's really interesting. A lot of actually, Square D just had a recall on some of their newer panels, and Square
Mm,
D is a great reputable company. Has produced fantastic panels for a long time. Um, but in your 2019s, 2020 houses, we're seeing some recalls on some of those panels that look fantastic, but they're having some underlying issues, and that's something you want to be aware of. And
You're
Unc
speaking of electrical
yeah,
panels.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and that's
So
something
that's
that
not that long ago.
no, no, I mean, that's
Couple of years.
yeah, and that's stuff that Uncle Bob probably doesn't know about,
Yeah.
and that's okay. I mean, that's not Uncle Bob's job. That's my job,
Right.
and that's why we do what we do. Is I tell people we look at a house differently. When I go in there, I don't care what color the walls are. I don't care what brand of dishwasher it is. I don't, the layout, all those different things are important to you, um, are not important to me. I'm looking at it through my inspector eyes, not, hey, my daughter's buying this house and I'm here to protect her. I'm the inspector. I'm here to protect her. And I'm I've got older kids, and I understand as they make buying decisions and stuff that they want my advice. Um, and I appreciate that. But I also realize that there's other professionals out there that may know something more than I do, and that's what we do on a house. And um, it's not unusual to have Dad following you around, and that's okay, because he wants to make sure I'm doing my job. And we normally have a pretty good relationship by the time it's over because we're both there for the same reason. And um, I've had dads that were builders,
Oh, yeah.
of all different kinds, and they get to following you around, and they get to talking about stuff, and they have opinions about things, and that's fantastic. But usually by the end, they go, "I wouldn't have caught that. I wouldn't have seen that. I wouldn't have looked at it that way." Um, and it's just the approach. It really is.
Mhm.
Um, how we approach things, how we look at things, to find those different issues, knowing how to kind of test things and maybe find something that isn't obvious, is really the difference in what we do. Besides just the base of knowledge is one thing, but the experience, to know how to test those things, to know how much water to run, to know how much, you know, uh, all the just different little tricks we do.
Got you. Have you ever had Dad to like? Have you ever pulled him up in the attic and said, "Hey, I'm seeing something here." Or you go down and it's like, "Well, there's this," and he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Well, let's climb
Oh,
up the ladder. Let's go." And you're like, "Okay, Dad, but I don't have you insured, so
there,
if you fall, it's not my fault, right? You're
there,
not. Yeah, I'm not paying your hospital bill."
there are definitely some things, some people that have followed me to places I wish they wouldn't have followed me to. I was up on a roof, and I had an 80-year-old man follow me up. Now, I not directly, otherwise I'd have stopped him, but I'm doing my thing, and I look up, and he's coming off my ladder, and I'm like, "This is no,
Oh
we don't
Lord.
do this." And his family's on the ground, like, "No, what are you doing?" I didn't want to scream at him because then that scare him, and
Yeah,
there you
that
go. But yeah, that was an interesting day. We literally talked him down.
oh man. But I mean, there's some older men in my family or that have passed that I could see them doing that.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I'm gonna climb up there and look at those shingles, and yeah, no, 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 stay
Well,
on the ground, man. We've got this covered.
well,
Trent's up there. You're good.
we'll be there someday,
Yeah, we'll
Jason.
keep. Yeah, I know. Be the same way, but no, I'll just hire you, Trent. Be like, he's 80 years old, and look at him. He's still climbing the ladder. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Have you with you work mostly with realtors?
Sure,
You get most referrals, I would assume, from the realtors. That's the initial contact and that option period.
sure.
It's to there that option period is the time for the buyer to go, okay, let's look over this house, and it's kind of like get out of jail free card. Cost them a little bit of money, but nothing like the earnest money.
Yeah.
Have you talked to some realtors where their clients had refused inspections, and maybe the realtor had tried, and they're like, "Well, I don't want to pay for that," and maybe something came up after purchase or something?
I've we do some 1 year inspections. So you buy a new house,
Yeah.
it's under under a 1 year warranty. maybe you go forgo that initial inspection, which seems like it would make some sense. But I'm thinking of one in particular, and I don't want to get real specific, but um, we went out there and did the walk, did an inspection for them 1 year in because they were having some issues. They were seeing a lot of different things that just weren't quite right. And it was a big, beautiful home, um, in a community of these homes. Um, but there were no vent pipes up on the roof, so the plumbing had nowhere to vent that stinky air out of the house on a brand new build.
Brand new.
The back wall of the shower was gorgeous, kind of stone and translucent stones, and it was gorgeous. Um, but there was no mortar in between any of it. Again,
Oh,
pretty obvious to me, and maybe to a lot of people. I don't know, but just again, that's going to create water issues within the house. Um, we we got into the electrical panel, and the main wires coming in were double tapped. So there was two sets of wires going in on each lug, which is definitely against any electrical code and has been for I don't even know how long. I mean, it just makes sense because then you have a live wire going to something,
yeah.
whatever they chose to wire that to. So it's a big no-no. And actually talked to the builder about that. He called me the next day and he said, "Well, I talked to my electrician and he said that that's fine because it fits." And I'm like, "That hasn't been fine in 30, 40 years. Like, I don't know what
Whoa.
what we're doing here." But yeah, it was just
See, that's one thing, like, because human error, and
sure,
that's a reason. It doesn't mean that the builder did a bad job. If you find something
sure,
wrong, hey, but he's had got a lot of people underneath him doing jobs, right?
sure, absolutely.
But the scary thing about that is for you to call it out and say, here's clearly an issue,
Yeah.
and for his own electrician to come back and go, no, 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 it's fine, don't worry about it. And it's like, well, I can't tell the clients not to
Yeah.
worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something called code. Maybe your electrician should catch up on that. So yeah, that's a little scary, but you're right because I hear it all the time. Well, it's new construction. Why we've got a 1 year warranty? Why do we need?
The
And
city's been out there, and that's nothing against city inspectors. It's just they look at it differently than I do.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, it's for your protection. And when you're talking, depending upon what you have there, but if you're talking average $400 or $500, um, that's probably typically money well spent. I would say this, and this is not putting anyone down or anything like that, but the houses that have been built the last couple years, um, because of COVID, because of availability to get materials, availability to get just human bodies to build
labor.
that. Yeah, just labor for you. Um, we're seeing a lot more just stuff. And again, that doesn't make him a bad builder. Um, things were weird the last couple of years. We all know that. But we're seeing a lot more just stuff in houses that probably should be corrected. And if you're having a house built, if you're in that 1 year warranty, it's I definitely I would tell everybody it's worth the money to have it looked at. Um, Even if we find just a couple little things, I mean, at least you're getting those fixed. But a lot of times we find more than that, and it's a little bit of peace of mind too. That hey, I've got it. It was built right, or we've got it fixed, and it's right. As you live in that house, as you raise kids in that house, as maybe sell that house in a couple years.
Yeah. Well, and there it is if you bought a home brand new and you did not get an inspection done by a licensed inspector, it's not too late. You do have that 1 year builder warranty, so you can still get the inspector out there now, and he'd look at it just like you would, like you were selling the home.
Yep.
And that way you'll know for sure, and that will give you a punch list that you can go to your builder and say, hey, these are items that have to be repaired before this 1 year's up, and hopefully they don't wait a year. But what another thing you brought up, what might have led to the mistakes of COVID and all that? Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of clients I've had. For instance, one that was supposed to close in February of this year didn't close till September. It
Mhm.
was supposed to close in February, didn't
Wow.
close. and that wasn't a story for everyone, but there was a time there where hardly anyone was closing on time.
Yeah.
And that's not because the builders didn't want to, but a lot of the builders, you talked about the labor. I didn't realize that a lot of these specialized crews, many builders use them. Like
Yes.
say you got one crew, one guy that's good with the drywall. Well, several builders may be using that one, not gang but crew
Yeah.
of people, and if they're in demand and there's not that kind of quality crew that builder really wants, well then they'll wait, and that causes some of the delays, or they may have rushed a crew that maybe didn't take the time, and so yes, again, it's not too late to ever get a home inspection and just see, hey, what's really going on,
Yeah.
for peace of mind more than anything.
Yeah.
So and I know that most real estate agents are going to strongly advise their clients, because last thing they want to do is have a client buy a home and then go, oh, this is wrong with it, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. They hey, get this thing checked out,
Yeah.
because I'm sure they want to put that client in the home and that client to be happy, and we love our new home, and refer it to the realtor that's got them into it, and you
Yeah.
know so I think very few people, if you've got someone saying, oh, an inspection's not necessary, I would have to question, because as a lender, like I said, just because we don't require them, because we don't see the inspections.
Sure.
In fact, I made a mistake real young, 25 years in this business, but real young, is I accidentally let an inspection report go to underwriting. Well, an inspection report's got every little thing wrong.
Sure.
And I had an underwriter who was not so lenient, and he wanted it all fixed. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So, it's one of those mistakes you make one time, because
Yeah.
still realtors out there, quit sending inspections in with your contracts to lenders. I mean, I see them all the time, like, ooh, I got to cut that stuff out,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's stuff this is minor stuff between the buyer and seller.
Sure.
And it's nothing like foundation or roof or anything that an underwriter needs to look at. So as the lenders don't want to see your inspection reports, because it could lead to an underwriter, okay, let's get ridiculous on repairs,
Yeah.
But as far as a lender telling you that, yes, I fully endorse them. Personally, I had once thought about, well, what if I didn't get one? And then it was like, well, what if there's something wrong? Well, what he found, I really almost fell in love with the house.
Sure.
And what he had found was evidence of foundation stuff, but he basically had to crawl back in closets and stuff to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if an appraiser or just me walking through rooms,
Mm-hmm.
just looking around, looking on the outside, it wasn't apparent. But
Right.
he got in there and on the inside, and he said, hey, there's something starting here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can imagine what that might have turned into.
Right.
For me. So it is worth a few $100 not to spend several thousand,
Yes.
down the road. So when you with your company, are you pretty much running the show? You doing all the inspections? You got to
I do have, there's me and I have one other part-time inspector that works for me, helps kind of, especially over the last, several years, kind of help alleviate some of that load, to where it's alleviate some of my pressure to get everything done in a timely manner. So, it's me and another guy. I feel like that kind of gives us the opportunity to give that personal touch. I'm not just hiring guys that, want to get in and get out and get off to their stuff. I'm very careful about who I bring in. And, that's why I have, honestly, that's why I haven't built some just humongous company out of it, because I like that personal touch. That's how I'd want somebody to treat me. That being said, I mean, there's a lot of good companies out there. I'm not putting that down, but that's just the approach I've taken over the years, is because I want to I just want to see that customer just taken care of properly. And I want to know all of them are taken care of the best we can.
Yeah. And after the break, maybe want to get you to explain a little bit more about exactly what you do. It's like how thorough you do
Sure.
look at a home. But yeah, if you've got one assistant or two, maybe you can keep your eye on. But as you grow, and which is perfectly fine. But yes, just like if you grow any business, now you've got more people representing you, right?
Right.
And your
Right.
company name, and you want to make sure that they're not rushing through stuff to get through, and they, let's go home early for the weekend, which is human nature.
Sure.
Human
Absolutely.
nature, but it is important. It's just like from the lending aspect, and really anybody that's involved in a home loan, from insurance and all that. This is a client's most of our clients' biggest investments they're going to make in their life.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you taking the time to get things right is so important.
Yeah.
So important on that. So yeah, as let's see, we're coming up on the 1:30 hour. Uh, we'll have a short break coming up, and then we'll see if Trent could tell us just a little bit more detail about what exactly is he looking for. And I'm sure we'll find some more interesting stuff to bring up, maybe some more stories.
We'll hit the nitty gritty.
Yeah. Let's just let it fly, man. The second half is what is kind of like happy hour. Let's go.
All right.
We'll be back, guys.
Hey, travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Out of deck carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Serving Johnson County, Texas. Joco Community Radio.
Good music, huh? Hello, folks. Welcome back. Appreciate you staying with us through the break. Got to hear from our sponsor real quick. Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 24/7 on the TuneIn Radio Network. TuneInJoco.com is the place to find all the ways to listen and watch, and the station app is also available for free on Android and Apple devices. Simply search your store, check out our lineup and more at jococommunityradio.com. This episode and more brought to you by Patriot Claims. They are making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales representative at 844-TEX-HAIL. That's 844-839-4245. Be sure to dress your arms and more at the Tiffy.com. Okay, Trent, Welcome back. Welcome back. Covered
Thank
covered some good stuff. Talked about Grandpa on the roof. We'll see. We'll see if we can come up with some more stories. But maybe kind of let you take it from here. Explain to the people what's a normal inspection on your normal, just call it a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home look like.
So, we're going to spend a couple hours in your house, in the house you're looking at there. We're going to be, like I said, up on the roof. We're going to be looking at foundation, walls, windows, doors, electrical, both the panel, have that panel cover off, looking at what's going on in there, checking outlets, everything we can get to electrical wise, plumbing. We're going to be running a bunch of water that day. Just seeing if anything wants to back up or leak. Plugging up sinks, letting them drain, see if those P-traps leak, see if anything backs up, flushing toilets multiple times, just a myriad of things in that regard. We will be up in the attic, getting everything we can up there. Just again, you have anything from water penetrations to plumbing issues. There's all sorts of vents and things that are running up through your attic in a lot of homes. So we want to look at all those. We'll be running appliances. So most of your attached appliances, like your dishwasher, garbage disposal, stove, oven, microwave, vent fans, even the vent fans in your bathroom, doorbells. I mean, it's pretty extensive. You know, keep in mind, we're not, we're going to look at all those things, test those things, stress them a little bit. We're not there to break anything. Sometimes there are things we won't test. Maybe if garage door operators, attached to a damaged garage door, we may not raise and lower that door because they do break. Unfortunately, I know that from personal experience. But buying somebody a new garage door is not the best way to make a living. But there's just certain limitations. But man, we sure get into just about every aspect of that house, and go through it with a fine tooth comb. And that's that's what you want to know about. If I write a report and you go, hey, I don't care about 95% of this, it's good information, but what I do care about are these 3 items, then I've done my job. It's not my job to determine what you're going to care about or not care about. What's important to you and your family is my job to find those issues the best I can, and let you make a good buying decision for you and your family.
Understood. How about outside?
Outside, yeah, absolutely. So we're looking again outside. I kind of make 3 passes around a house. We're going to be looking at just grading and drainage. How does that dirt around your house affect your house? Are we getting puddling or standing water in certain areas? Are we getting washout to where we don't have enough dirt around the foundation, or the dirt's too high to where we can get moisture in the house?
Okay, so you say puddling and stuff. So you're looking for foundation issues, like where water may sit there and gather and just start affecting that foundation, where you may have to point it out, huh?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
whether it's cracking or not, that's what you hope to prevent, right? To be
Right.
like, okay, so that puddling around, it's like, hey, well, I don't see any cracks, but I do see this, and that tends to lead, right?
Yeah. You definitely have things that are the cause of the foundation movement, that sort of thing. Whether it be, like I said, a washout, not enough dirt, or the dirt sloping towards the house, and you just have, we had rain 2-3 days ago.
A lot.
If you've still got standing water beside your house, that's an issue, and people think about it like, oh, I don't like walking through it. Well, walking through it's a minor inconvenience. Having it shift your foundation is a little more,
Yeah, I'm thinking of a pair of boots, what that costs, and then 3 piers in a foundation and what that costs. Yeah, it's your shoes are the least of it, folks.
Yeah.
This is serious. Look around your house after rain, because hey, that's a big sign.
Yeah.
That I've heard from a lot of foundation people is that gathering of water that stays around long after the rain leaves.
Yeah. We're looking at those brick cracks. All of our houses settle. All of our houses just said it. That's the type of soil we have around here, and with the dry conditions, and then all of a sudden we get 6 inches of rain in 2 days, and
Good
then
old
the dry.
clay up here.
Yeah,
That clay just
yeah.
like, ugh.
So all of our houses
Yeah.
shift and move. But what do those brick cracks mean? I mean, is that something that's typical? Is it something that's means that we do have additional issues? Um, and it's kind of interpreting those and knowing how to interpret those and what are the signs. Do we have interior cracks? Do we have a freshly painted house inside but we got brick cracks outside? Do we have brick cracks that have been repaired? What's trying to interpret all those different things is because nobody likes brick cracks, but figuring out whether it's like, oh, that's just the way this old house or new house moves, or boy, there's something going on in this corner over here. We need to get this looked at.
Well, you just made me think of something because if I'm sitting there and I've got an older house, and but not, or even if it's a newer house, and I'm seeing some cracks on the outside, and then I walk in and boy, look at this! They put a brand new coat of paint on here. Well, that could be a good thing, but then it might also be like, well, were they hiding the cracks, or were there cracks in the old paint? Yeah, what's going on? So that's where you might just say, hey, that's where a foundation inspector do a full, or engineer report, something like that, huh?
Yeah,
You just kind of point that out, right? Hey,
yeah, absolutely. So that's where we get in there and go, yeah, this is warrants a structural engineer or a good foundation company.
Yeah,
come out and take a look at it. And there are a difference between the good ones and
yes, there are
the guys who just want to sell a job.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's a matter of seeing those things and knowing what it potentially means. To go, I'm not. I see that, but I'm not worried about it at all. I think you're in good shape. Or seeing it and going, ooh, that really could be an issue. And getting it checked out further. Again, all about informing you about what you're buying. And sometimes that is bringing in somebody who specializes in a certain area. We talked about foundations, air conditioning. That's another big one in Texas. So we take and we measure the warm air going in versus the cold air coming out. Anything between 15 and 22 degrees tells us like this AC is performing properly. There may be other issues, but performance wise, that's what we want to see. If it's not performing, I'm not allowed to take, measure the freon or anything of that nature. But at that point, it's time for an AC company to come out and go, hey, it's got a leak. It's just a little low on freon. It needs a new unit. It can be anywhere from $200 to $10,000. But it's my job to find that issue and let that expert come in and go, okay, here's what we have going on.
Yeah, have you? I'm sure you've come across them where they're working fine, but you can like just tell that if they're older, they're kind of like that old truck that keeps running, and you're like, nothing's wrong with it, but you could hear it, you can see it, the way it's moving at any moment, right? So,
I think the first house I bought, I bought this house and it had this old AC unit and it was kind of green and the paint was peeling off and it looked like something from World War II. It was just old. And that thing worked I think I owned that house 5 or 6 years. And that thing worked every day for the 5 or 6 years I owned that house. And I was certain I was going to have, and I never did anything to it. I was young. I didn't do maintenance on it. I probably changed the filter, when I was supposed to, but that's about it. And that thing just, man, it just, like you said, like an old truck or a tractor, just and it worked fine every day.
They don't build them like that anymore, do they?
No, it doesn't seem like it at least. But yeah, it's you can have old ones though that just run like a champ and they make you nervous. And boy, honestly, my human instinct is to find something wrong with them just because it does make you nervous. But if it's not wrong, it's not wrong, and it's working the way it's supposed to.
I had to know your compressor on the outside, and for years it would make just squeaking noise. I'd get the WD-40. That's a fan. Well, what is it? And it wouldn't, but it never broke.
Yeah.
It would drive me crazy. I'd hear that thing outside, and I'd be like, "Break, please break." I got you under a home warranty, man. I'll get a new one in there, and it never would. And but it sounded like it. Boy, when you listen to it, it's like, man, that thing's about to blow up.
Yeah.
But it did its job. There was nothing wrong with it, and no matter how much I wanted. So that you can come in, I guess you'll learn on being like, hey, this one's got some age on it, but it's functioning properly.
We had one last month or two. Me and my other inspector were out there, and with the heat on, the fan inside the house just had a weird vibration to it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't real loud. It's like, it's really kind of borderline whether you even ride it up or not. Like it's like, I think I'm going to, but boy, it just doesn't seem like too much. And we've turned everything off, let it set, turn the AC back on, in 20, 30 minutes. And the AC, everything turned on, but that fan, it was done. We experienced the end of that particular fan during the home inspection. And you're like, I almost would have said that's probably not a huge, and that's how things happen, though. I mean, you can look at something and go, well, gee, that's horrible, and it's fine. And you can look at other stuff and think, boy, that's that's probably okay, and it's not.
So they've all got a clock on them, and they're going to go out at sometimes. So sometimes you witness the demise, and sometimes the damn thing won't die on you, even when you want it to. But that's what you're there for. Just, hey, is it working correctly, or is it not?
Yeah.
And letting them know.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that was fine because it was working just fine. Just had just a strange vibration to it. Nothing.
It's a call for help from it. It's like, I'm ready to go. When they let go of your hand, and it's like, hey, I've done my job.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
What about and I'll bring up, kind of what the requirements of lending, especially on government when you got FHA or VA loans, USDA. But when you get out in the country, you're either going to have septic or aerobic septic going on.
Correct.
A lot of times you're going to have water wells and stuff. So what's your approach on those?
So my experience, my approach, Texas Real Estate Commission does have some expectations as to what we write up as far as septic systems go, because I work a lot of Johnson County in those different areas. I went and got my NOT certification, which is just for septic inspections. And I just wanted that training under my belt to pick up any other little things that we can. Again, it's a matter of testing them, opening them up, looking at anything we can look at. A lot of times we have old systems to where you can't see anything. I have, clients will question me like, well, you couldn't see anything. How'd you inspect it? Which is a viable question. And at that point, and I'll just answer it right now, it's a matter of knowing how much water to run to kind of stress that system to see if anything wants to back up, to be walking the yard where you think those, the septic may be. You can't always tell. And seeing if there's any, ground surface water, those sorts of things that are coming up. And they're actually a little tougher because you can't see stuff. You can't give it that visual inspection, and you're just trying to stress it to see how it reacts.
Well, like at my old house, I had an aerobic septic system, and it was built probably in the late 90s. That's when they required everything had to be on at least 2.5 acres to have one.
Yeah.
There was a time period there. But it would have your initial tank and then your middle tank where you could pull it up and, the middle one that kind of separated, liquids and stuff. Yeah. And then your final one where it went through the PVC, through the chlorine tablets, and then it went into
the pump. Yeah.
And then I know that is that still your basic aerobic?
That-
Is there still a 3-point system?
It's 2 or 3, depending upon
Yeah.
the system. There's some different systems out there, and it's not my job to determine like did they install the proper system.
Yeah.
Okay, that goes into the engineering and things that you have to to get a permit to do a septic. Typically, out in the country, that's about the only permit you have to pull is that septic.
Hmm.
Because they want to know where wastewater's going, which is probably an awesome idea.
That's good.
But yeah, I've seen them
The
run.
inquiring minds want to know, and just about everybody else,
Yeah, I've seen them run off into fields.
Yeah.
I've seen them. We did one. The ran out into this big kind of a tank. It was a small tank.
That's great.
That just had a pump in the tank, and the homeowner had to go out, plug the pump in anytime the tank got full,
Oh no.
and it pumped it out into this field across out towards a stream. And and the buyers are like, well, how serious is this? And I'm like, I can't get into everything, but like you just told me you want your kids out there, fishing in the stream and stuff, and that's really a bad idea at this point,
And they might catch some 3-eyed fish out
Yeah,
there.
that's
I mean,
exactly what I was
wow,
thinking.
you talk about like bringing the federal government, EPA, down on you. Yeah, you definitely recommend. Hey, someone needs to look at this.
Yeah,
I'm not sure this is meeting EPA codes or just common sense. My God.
Yeah.
But you can't assume anything.
Yeah, no, you can't. And we'll find pipes run underground, and even in town, people run a pipe off to a drainage ditch somewhere. And a lot of times it's just the washing machine or something like that. It's not end of the world stuff, but it's still, well, it's something you want to know about. And why did we decide to run that off there? Do we have an old issue with a broken line or something in the slab or whatever? Did we just take a shortcut and run water somewhere else?
So your deal is it's not so much breaking open that like looking down into say the third tank or anything as it is running enough water to get it to function to where it.
So an aerobic system,
Yeah.
it's a matter of both. Sometimes you'll have a tank or a house that's set empty for quite a while, and running enough water to get that tank filled up is sometimes an issue. At that point, we're using some equipment to lift those floats, to hear the tank, to hear the pump kick on, to pull, make the audible and visual alarm set off, those sorts of things, just to know that they're working.
Cool. And then water wells, that's a whole different.
Wells are a
ballgame.
different thing, and a lot of guys do wells. My personal experience, and after watching well professionals inspect a well, my recommendation is always have one of those guys do it. It's just so much more detailed than what I can get into,
Mhm.
what I've been trained to do. It's very intensive compared to what I do. And they've got all the right equipment to do that. Whereas I'm going to run water and go, and look at the equipment visually and go, yeah, it looks okay.
It seems to be working,
Yeah.
right? You turn the
Yeah.
water on. And,
Yeah, I can
all
tell
in
you
the
like,
house.
hey, we got water pressure, we got this, we got that. But it's not a matter of, they do. It's a lot more intensive. And I would claim that I don't even know everything that they do.
Well, no, and there's specifically VA loans. If they're on a water well, they want to know potable means is it drinkable without causing sickness? Is potable water, and you usually have to get a county official, to get a sample, test it, send it back, and there's a level of it needs more of this or that, and they've got to address it. So yeah, I can't imagine that'd be anything that you'd want to look at. You'd actually they're running this stuff in a laboratory.
Well, and so the potable water part of it, and that's what I was going to bring up next. I'm glad you did. Now that's something we can actually test for.
Can you?
Yes. Now I don't own a lab or anything like that, but it's actually run through the county.
Okay.
But we know how to take those samples, get them collected properly, store the sample until we get it to the lab, that sort of thing.
I didn't realize you would do that up front. So then my question is why didn't all these other inspectors over the years do that? And it's been a while since I've had one VA where I've had to do it, but So you'll actually take it to the where in the county and
Yeah.
get them to run it, the test.
Yes. Yeah.
See, that's jumping on it up front. So there's an issue. There's time to
Yeah, and
fix
if
it.
if it's VA, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
and we know it needs to be done, that's something we'll definitely
Oh,
recommend.
that's great.
We've done them. Boy, you talk about septics and wells. Did a house out in the county, obviously, and the septic tank was very close to the well. So now we're dispersing black water
Okay.
into the ground near where we're collecting fresh water. And you can imagine what that test result was like. It was not good.
Oh,
No, I didn't. Again, I didn't inspect the well, but I saw how close they were, and I'm like, well, got out my little tape measure and it just kind of took some general stuff and was like, I really recommend that water to be checked. And yeah, we came up with issues. Yeah, it was.
and that could be serious issues.
Oh yeah, that can cause again. That can cause you health issues that you
Yeah.
never see or find the why.
Mhm.
Why are people in my house getting sick? Yeah, absolutely.
Have you let's see what we got about 3 minutes left. Just any kind of story where if you've been trying to inspect a home and have you ever had a seller be like, you can't look in this room or you can't look in this attic or this basement? Have you ever been denied access?
I got to see a room. Now nobody, even the buyer, hadn't seen this room, but because I was the inspector, they let me into this room, and it was like an underground bunker with they had like a whole camper. It was a big house,
Yeah.
a whole camper down in this room, and that's where he had his gun safes and water stored up, and like literally a whole camper. It was cool. It was like, yeah. So. Yeah, it was.
So you're like, I'm going to that guy's house when everything breaks out around here. You know where to go, but that's cool. Was it kind of like a hidden room where you'd have to like hit something in the wall to make it open?
Yeah, you could kind of tell there was a door there, but I can't remember. There was a certain way you had to get into. I had to stand back and let him.
Yeah,
let me in the room and do my little thing.
So the fact of the matter is there could be those hidden rooms that if you didn't know to look for them, you can kind of figure, well, how did the room, if you're really looking for that, you could probably feel like, well, that room wasn't big enough. Why is this wall so big?
Yeah.
So thick.
Most of the time people have those kind of open for us or that sort of
that's
thing.
a selling point, right? Hey, look at this cool room.
Yeah. Most people want to make known like, hey, you've got a safe room or a something.
Yeah.
That we had a house that went up. It's kind of a 3-level house, a big old thing. And you go up these back stairs, spiral stairs, and you go up and it just ends. You're like, where am I? And you push on the wall and it's a bookcase that opens up out into the the office area, and you're like, okay, I would not have found this from the office area, I don't believe.
Oh wow.
But yeah, got there through the back way and figured out there's a hidden door. There's all kinds of fun stuff, man. It's
well, you're getting to see a lot of different types of homes.
Yes.
And yeah, I can imagine, and that's the thing. It's not the same kind of home every day. It's older homes, brand new homes, whatever. So yeah, you get a good look at what we've got going on here in the county. Let's see, we got about a minute left. Any final thoughts you want to tell people out there?
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you this, and a home inspection is definitely worth your time and money. Spending a little time with that inspector is probably again good time spent. If you can't be there, I mean, it's people live out of town and all those different things. Just a little time on the phone after you get that report and go, hey, tell me more about this or that. I think is valuable time spent. You are allowed to pick your own home inspector. So if your agent refers somebody and you're like, well, I don't know if I feel comfortable with them or not, whether it's me or somebody else. I mean, make some calls, find somebody you're comfortable with. And that's important as well.
Well, we definitely like Trent Baker with Inspector Gadget here in Burleson and Johnson County and Southern Tarrant, and he'll go just about anywhere. So thank you for being with us, Trent. That's good information.
Thank you.
We'll see you folks next week.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace